Hi, welcome to another Askreddit episode of StorytimeGuru. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Lawyers of Reddit, what's the worst way you've seen a person screw over someone else in court, whether it be criminal, civil, or divorce proceedings? Posted by hardly_it_work. I took my ex to court because she had used my social security number to sign up for cable. I found out about it when she stopped paying for the service. She screwed herself over by just being herself. We show up to court. I turn in the contract from the cable company, showing my social security number, and her own name signed on the contract. She didn't even try to forge my signature. She signed her own name in, and tried to deny that she had any part of it. The judge tore her apart and it was nice. Posted by, deleted. Not someone else, but my client screwed themselves. I'm doing landlord-tenant stuff and my client was facing eviction over non-payment, but the client was withholding rent payments because of habitability issues in the apartment, no heat, high lead levels, vermin. This is going to be an easy win for me. Told my client continuously to make sure they don't spend the money, keep it but don't spend it, because if you show the judge you still have the money, it looks really good for you in terms of making the judge believe that you're withholding for good reasons. We get up in front of the judge. The landlord doesn't have an attorney, so I'm dancing inside. There's no way I can lose. I make my arguments, and the landlord makes his. Judge asks my client if they still have the money. The client goes, "Nah, I blew that ship at the casino last week." I literally facepalmed in court. Luckily the judge was understanding on my part. It's always embarrassing to have a client agree to something then totally drop a curveball on you at the 11th hour. Posted by C.S. Warren. My wife is the lawyer. Info: when children reach the age of majority, if they do not continue studying and start working, it is not necessary to pay alimony. Info: my wife's client found a new lover, which unleashed the wrath of the ex-wife, who started asking for more alimony for her children. Well, to win the case, it was necessary to prove that the children were working, but they could not get any proof of it. There was not much chance of winning, but they still went to court hoping that with the interrogations they could find information that would put them in evidence. On the day of the trial, the children did not go, only the mother and her lawyer were present. Judge: Madam, tell me why your children could not come. Mom: they could not get permission at work. Judge: silent. Lawyer: silent. Mom: silent. Another few seconds of silence. Judge: well, that was fast. Posted by Quaffle47. I had a client who was trying to get away from an abusive ex and filed for a restraining order. He shows up to the final hearing and is making a big fuss about a truck that they bought during their marriage. He said it was just his, and she had no rights to it because their marriage was void. I asked him on cross-examination what he meant by that, and he said that he had already been married in another state when he married my client. He said that my client had no idea, but that it means their marriage is invalid and the truck was all his. Not only is that legally inaccurate, the transcript of the hearing was promptly turned over to the police, who were actively investigating him for bigamy. Oh, and the judge gave my client the truck along with a 2-year no-contact order. Posted by Mildpan. I am a lawyer, saw someone screw himself. I work as a public servant in a criminal law judge's office, and since I have a law degree I don't normally do administrative work, though I get to be with the judge in some of the hearings. Last month we had a huge drug trafficking case. I'm talking about 20 or more people involved, months of investigation, undercover agents, videos, audio, the whole ordeal. Hearing lasted 3 days. Anyway, when it was time for one of the defendants to be on the stand so the prosecutor could read the charges he was accusing him of, he was pleading not guilty, as he very loudly stated from the majority of the hearing, up until my boss the judge told him to shut up, or he would be admonished, to which he replied, "What are you going to do, arrest me?" Which, to be honest, was actually a bit funny. The prosecutor, as part of the facts of his case, told him that he was being accused of selling, trafficking and carrying X amount of X drugs, with the base of his operation being his house, where he lived with his partner. Mind you, said partner wasn't even in the hearing. She wasn't arrested or anything as there was nothing tying her to the case. He said, "Wait up, I was the one selling the drugs, she didn't do anything." His lawyer, a state-assigned public lawyer, facepalmed so hard it's actually recorded in the audio of the hearing. He still pleaded not guilty. Posted by GR33NM4N. Too many criminal client situations to count of them screwing themselves over. One of the very few family law cases I handled as a young attorney sticks out to me though. A young woman and young man have child. Young woman seeks divorce from the young man because he enjoys the thug life. He had recently been arrested and charged for possession with intent to distribute meth, felony, and in possession of a firearm, unlawful carry. Young man doesn't like her leaving him. He hires a local big-name top divorce attorney, granted, very rural area, gets temp divorce order entered saying she cannot have overnight guests of the opposite sex, common in rural conservative areas, think it's mostly a thing of the past in more urban places. The young woman starts seeing someone new. Young man is very upset about this, has his fancy lawyer ask for a hearing accusing her of violating the court order and seeking full custody, on top of attorney fees. Young woman, on advice from a mutual friend, hires me for this hearing. I sit down with opposing counsel, and she basically tries to strong-arm me with her experience and lays out egregious terms. The mother must not only give up primary custody but must have visitation with a supervisor and pay child support and attorney fees. She knows I'm a new baby attorney in town, fairly certain I had been licensed for less than a year. I balk, and she says she'll see us in court. I go into hearing with a copy of his probation arrangement on his POS with intent to sell an unlawful carry. He hasn't told his attorney about this, and she is unaware. She calls him up, establishes how my client had her new BF over on X, Y, Z nights. Judge is very conservative, not pleased. Then, opposing counsel passes the witness. I ask him if he has a job. No. What do you do for money? Things here and there. Oh. M's. Opposing counsel is awfully expensive. Do you sell meth? What? Have you ever sold drugs to make ends meet? No. Introduce a copy of his guilty plea and straight probation sentencing. Judge is now staring daggers at him. I lean over to my client sitting next to me, and whisper, if you took a drug test today, be honest, would you be completely clean? Yes. I asked the young man, when was the last time you did meth? Attorney objects. But judge overrules. I know this judge will drug test people on the spot as he is also the misdemeanor drug court judge. It's been years. I'm clean. So, if you were tested, you'd be clean? Yes. Opposing counsel asks the same of my client. We agree. Judge has them both tested. He tests positive for meth. My client is clean. The judge denies his motion, and asks me to send in new temp orders where the young man is required to maintain employment and start paying child support and places him on supervised visits. The icing on the cake, opposing counsel actually calls me and leaves me a voicemail congratulating me on, and I quote, handing her ass to her for the first time in a long time. Posted by Rivlet. Well, not my story, but a prior boss's story. They had a drunk driver kills a car full of people case at the time when they were a general practitioner. My boss was representing the family that got hit, one where the 2 kids and the wife had died, but the father had not, and one of the college guy's drunk driving skin to be mounted on a wall. This was back before Facebook was commonly used in court proceedings and before tons of people realized that shit is too great for any attorney worth their weight in salt to pass up. So, the kid, drunk driving college kid, had managed to get the judge's sympathy during the first part of the hearing by saying he was sorry, haunted, never going to drink again, this was going to ruin his life, etc. The judge seemed to really be eating it up. Then comes my boss and immediately burns this kid's remorse to the ground by showing numerous Facebook statuses and photos of them binge drinking, partying, and even joking about driving drunk from the date of the accident up until a night ago. The kid looked like he was being forced to swallow hot coals and the judge was absolutely livid. Needless to say, the kid had to do way more than just apologize and be remorseful after that. Posted by Z.A. Wolfie. Not my case, but my dad's. He was the equivalent of a public defender decades ago. There was this guy that would get caught for being drunk in public lewdness, etc. Every weekend. He seemed to draw the same judges and was pretty well known to everyone in the courthouse as an absolute lost cause. One of the regular judges had him appear in his court again. The judge is ready to give him a prison sentence because he was driving a car this time, but the guy starts crying that he finally got a job out of town and was trying to turn his life around. Judge tells him as long as he never makes a mistake in my town again he would just drop the charges. Well, sure as hell the guy shows up the following Monday, the same judge, driving drunk again. My dad now has his case. The judge tells him he gave him his final chance, To which the guy sobs and replies, "I was leaving town, Your Honor, but my friends decided to throw me a going away party." The judge was not amused. My dad had to do everything he could to not laugh. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tap the notification bell.